Hello, and welcome to Cindy's Corner. Today, if you have the book To the Moon, go get it so you can follow along. And friends, if you're my friend and you haven't subscribed, you better hit that blue button and subscribe because I need to see my friends. I got some new friends in the OR area, the Paynes. Good to have y'all. This one is To the Moon. It is a level 3-2 book. So it's great information for my kinders and first grade, but some of my second and third and fourth graders you may test. To the Moon, written by Jodie Shepherd, illustrated by Mike Barney. Hope I said that right. This is chapter. Chapter 1 is on Neil Armstrong. Chapter 2 is Luna. Chapter 3 is Boing. And chapter 4 is Back on Earth. You're going to have fun with this book. Neil Armstrong. Hey, that's almost my name, Neil shouted. He was at the Space Museum with his class. In front of him was a photo of the first person on the moon, astronaut Neil Armstrong. One small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Awesome, Neil exclaimed. Someday it's going to be me, Neil Armstrong, who walks on the moon. The spacecraft Apollo 11 carried Neil Armstrong and 2 other astronauts to the moon on July the 20th, 1969. The world watched on TV as Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon. Astronauts last visited the moon in 1972, said Neil's teacher, Mrs. Pulsa. But scientists are talking about making moon landings again with human astronauts and maybe with androids. It could happen in the next 10 years. Neil read a sign. The moon is about 240,000 miles away. It's the only other place in our universe where humans have stood. That's amazing, Neil said. Humans were here. An android is a robot that can move around like a person. And android bodies usually look similar to human bodies. Neil spotted something else amazing. Look at all those moon rocks, he thought. I want my science fair project to stand out this year. Those rocks would be perfect. Neil sighed. I can't take the rocks with me. They belong to the museum. If only I could go to the moon and get rocks of my own. Suddenly, Neil noticed a model of Apollo 11 nearby. He sat at the controls. Maybe if I use my imagination, and then, before he knew it, liftoff. Billions of years ago, an object about the size of Mars crashed into the Earth. Chunks of rock broke off from Earth and later formed the moon. Chapter 2 is the Luna. Astronaut Neil has landed on the moon. He gasped in wonder. The moon was amazing, and there was someone else there with him too, an android. I am Luna, it said. Welcome to the moon. Good thing you wore your spacesuit. The moon gets burning hot and freezing cold, and it all has almost no air. Your space helmet gives you oxygen to breathe. From Earth, the moon appears to change shape, but it does not. We just see different amounts of the moon. What we see depends on where the sun, moon, and earth are in the sky. There was a lot to see. Mountains and hills, and are those oceans? Neil asked. They look like oceans, Luna answered, but they are large fields filled with dark, solid lava. Since the moon has very little air, there's no sound up there. Astronauts must talk to one another on radios inside the air-filled helmets. Neil spotted a lava rock. He stepped to pick it up for his science fair project. Then he saw footsteps. Who could have made them? Boing! Luna saw the surprise on Neil's face. Do not worry. Those are Neil Armstrong's footprints, Luna exclaimed. There is no wind on the moon, so Neil's footprints may last for millions of years. My footprints will last too, Neil thought. I'll be famous forever. He picked up a second rock. His science project was going to rock. Astronauts from the United States have brought U.S. flags to the moon. All but one of the flags are still standing. Apollo 11 knocked over its flag when it lifted off. Walking wasn't easy on the moon, but bouncing was. If you weigh 50 pounds, 23 kilograms, on Earth, you weigh just over 8 pounds or 4 kilograms on the moon. The moon has very little gravity, Luna told him. On Earth, gravity holds people and other things to the ground. Since the moon has less gravity, you weigh less there. Boing, boing. Jumping on the moon was fun. Neil saw craters everywhere. Some were huge. Others looked like large soup bowls. What made these craters? Neil asked Luna, putting another rock in his backpack. The biggest moon crater is about 1,500 miles. That's 2,414 kilometers from side to side. More than half the width of the United States. The smallest moon crater are about 1 inch, 2.5 centimeters wide. Meteors crashing into the moon made craters on the moon's surface, Luna said. Now, turn around and take a look at the Earth's rise. Amazing, is it not? Earthrise was amazing, but it made Neil really homesick. Back on Earth. Poof! Just like that, Neil was back at the museum, but he didn't have any rocks. He had imagined the entire mission. Still, He'd learned lots of cool facts about the moon. Neil knew how he could make his science fair project stand out. He'd share everything he'd learned, and he'd look up awesome pictures of the moon to show off at the fair. Even better, Neil thought, someday I'll go to the moon for real. Now, you can check out the moon this weekend. There's going to be an eclipse. It depends on when you're reading this book. This weekend, October the 14th, there's supposed to be an eclipse. And so, depending on where you are, whether or not you get to see it or not. An eclipse is where the moon goes in front of the sun. I hope you enjoyed this book, and share with me if you've thought about being an astronaut and about your Earth and about the moon that you see. You can actually draw a picture of you in a moon suit, space suit. I hope you enjoyed this. Make sure you subscribe and give us 2 thumbs up and tell your friends about Cindy's Corner. Have a great day.